While Desenzano has various smaller churches, its main church, known as the Duomo, dominates much of the city's landscape. And even its harbor. From a distance, the Duomo is most recognizable for its bell tower clock. Desenzano's main church was originally constructed in 1145. It is the older, more original church on the same spot that Saint Angela would have known. Today's Duomo was built on the remains of the original church between 1586 and 1611, which explains the Duomo's Baroque facade, which you can see here in the far left. This means that Angela herself would have prayed here, although she lived many decades before the renovations of the late 16th and early 17th centuries. In other words, the Duomo's Baroque facade was constructed after the lifetime of Saint Angela. Despite the fact that the Duomo, as it is today, would have been quite different in Angela's time, it displays centuries-old religious art dedicated to Desenzano's esteemed daughter, Saint Angela Merici. So let's join this group of pilgrims and take a peek inside. Is there anybody you recognize? Upon entering the Duomo, one of the things we immediately notice is the realistic quality of the statuary, as we see here at this side altar. And don't miss the baptismal fountain. Angela was probably baptized here as an infant, although the baptismal font itself likely dates to the Duomo's Baroque renovations. Notice the carefully crafted artistry adorning the organ pipes, again from the Baroque period renovations. In the sanctuary, we see a fresco by Fra Angelico of the risen Christ appearing to Mary Magdalene, the patron saint of the Duomo. If this is a Fra Angelico original and not a copy by a later artist, it would date to the mid-15th century, some decades before Angela's birth. Of special interest is the side chapel dedicated to Saint Angela. It has a few items worth pointing out. Notice the painting of Saint Angela straight ahead. Of course, because Saint Angela was the foundress of the Ursulines, this painting depicts her as a 17th and 18th century Ursuline nun, according to the habit of the French Ursulines at the time this particular portrait of Saint Angela was created. Here are two photos of the same. On the right is only the painting of Angela, while the photo on the left shows the reliquary with a relic of Saint Angela beneath the painting. Here the reliquary is opened. In this close-up of the reliquary, we can see on its doors reliefs depicting scenes from Saint Angela's life. On the left, we see Angela with the original company, while the door on the right offers an image of Angela's vision as a young woman when God first began to stir within her the idea of beginning a new way of life for Christian women of her time. Here are the same two reliefs from the reliquary, but in chronological order, with Angela as a young visionary woman on the left, and on the right as the foundress of the company. The Duomo houses other pieces of art important for the history of Angela's company as well. Here, for example, is a painting of the spiritual espousal of Saint Catherine of Alexandria. On the right is the Blessed Mother, with the child Jesus on her lap, and just to the left, Saint Catherine receiving a wedding ring from the child Jesus. Of course, Angela had a special devotion to the virgin martyr saints of the early church, including Saint Catherine. This is why Angela begins her company of Saint Ursula on November 25th, the feast of Saint Catherine. At one of the Duomo's side altars is an interesting portrait of Saint Angela being received into heaven by saints and angels, including her spiritual father, Saint Francis of Assisi. This portrait of Saint Angela was painted by Gian Domenico Signoroli in 1772. Although Angela wears blue, she is also clothed with a Franciscan cincture or rope, representing the evangelical consuls. In the Duomo sacristy, we find this statue of Saint Angela, with her own words taken from both her fifth consul and last testament. Ora sono più viva di quando mi verivano corporamente. Ora vedo e conosco di più e più posso e voglio aiutare. Io sarò in mezzo a voi in aiuto alle vostre orazioni. Now I am more alive than when you saw me in the body. Now I see and know you better, and am more able to help you, and I desire to help you. I will be among you all, helping you in your prayer. The sacristy also offers some lovely paintings from Angela's life. This one is of her childhood at her family home in Le Grezze, in the countryside outside of Desenzano. And this is of Angela beginning her company of Saint Ursula and eliciting the support of the leading men of Brescia as its protectors. Perhaps the most fascinating portrait of Saint Angela found in the Duomo is this one hanging on a wall in the sacristy. It appears to be a painting of Angela from her death mask. It's now time for us to leave the Duomo. If you haven't already, come with us as we head out to St. Angela's birthplace, just across the street from Desenzano's castle. We hope you can join us. It's only a short walk away.